Playbill, thanks for joining in. Hello, brother. Let me put up a captain poll as well. I think there will be an interesting captain decision ahead of game week 21. Most will probably go for Erling Haaland, but seeing that he actually has blanked 3 consecutive game weeks might actually make someone consider someone else. Let's see. So Haaland should be in. Thiago probably after his hat-trick. And even though I don't own him, I can see Cunha being popular as well. Now that he blanked 3 times, we can't not captain him. I think I'm actually heading towards Haaland captaincy, to be honest, at home against Brighton. So Brighton, they actually have a solid defense, but it's not like they have been that solid recently, so I think they might struggle against Man City in game week 21. There are some injuries, especially in the Man City defense ahead of game week 21. Looks like both Diaz and Guardiola will miss game week 21. How will this affect Man City? It's not that long until we will find out. So really quick turnaround between game week 20 and game week 21. Midweek, Tuesday deadline. This is why the Q&A is on Monday night. I usually have those Q&As on Friday night when deadlines are on Saturdays. But since it's a Tuesday deadline, we're live on a Monday. So my team looks fairly set ahead of game week 21. I haven't made any transfers. I have 2 free transfers. Tempted to get Gabriel in, of course. But with only 0.2, it's not that easy for me to bring in Gabriel. I will have to use another transfer as well. We'll probably just wait until game week 22. Do something like maybe Thiago out, even though he scored a hat-trick. I might actually downgrade Thiago. Saka to Cole Palmer is tempting as well, and depending on who I downgrade the Igor Thiago to, hopefully I'll have enough funds to do Dorgu to Gabriel. I have many problems. I need to get rid of Semenyo and Minte, the worst transfer I've made. It made sense at the time considering the fixtures for Brighton and the fact that he had really good attacking stats and he passed the eye test definitely. But it hasn't really worked out for FPL managers to bring in Minte. I also need to get Gabriel in, and I have triple Arsenal. Bruno, when he comes back, I consider him essential. Cole Palmer too. Yeah, I just mentioned I will consider something like Saka to Cole Palmer to bring in Gabriel. Mark, thank you for convincing me to start Rice ahead of Gidminson Legend. Luckily you started Rice. It was the right decision in the end, definitely. The thing is that ahead of game week 20, I was kind of convinced that Rice would either start or not play at all. He's like in that category when it comes to injuries. So luckily this worked out. It was actually his first brace, I think. So of course, Rice owners got a bit lucky in game week 20, but gave me a big green arrow, 69 points actually for me. Saka to Cole Palmer, Foden to Bruno Fernandes, probably, but I still have Minte and Semenyo. I think, let's have a look at your team play, Bill. If I remember correctly, you have posted your team already. So let's have a look at Playbill's team ahead of game week 21. 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank, slight green arrow, 271k, so a really good rank. I want Gabriel and Bruno when it's back, and also have to get rid of Minte and Semenyo. So let's see if we can get Raya in as well. There we go. So this is Playbell's team. Raya in goal, double up on the Arsenal defense against Liverpool. Lewis Hall. I think Newcastle will do well against Leeds at home. I actually wish I had a Newcastle defender myself. Keane is in, good fixture for Everton against Wolves, but they didn't really impress against Brentford. Michele against Brentford, and you have Igor Thiago as well. So we will have Michele and Thiago play against each other. Saka against Liverpool. I think this probably is a good fixture for Arsenal, and especially Saka, since he started on the bench in game week 20. He will most probably start in game week 21. Cunha is in, and we have Phil Foden, Semenyo, Erling Haaland captain up front with the mentioned Igor Thiago. So on the bench, yellow flagged Minte against Man City away, Mark Guiu and Anderson against Chelsea. 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank. So 2 million in the bank. So I think that the Phil Foden to Bruno Fernandes move can definitely wait another week. Same goes for Saka to Cole Palmer. I think Saka will start this game week, so maybe Semenyo should be the first priority in this team. Probably won't be able to do Semenyo to Cole Palmer, right, with only 2 million. Bruno Fernandes, I don't really think that Bruno Fernandes will start in game week 21, to be honest. I think it's probably wise to wait until game week 22. A Playbell, I also brought in Hall instead of, they have, where it was 50-50 between them, 11 points swing. Of course, a bit annoying. I totally get that, but I think that in game week 21, it might actually be the other way around. Lewis Hall, he looks really good on set pieces. So hopefully Lewis Hall can outscore Diav in game week 21. Play Anderson instead of Michele. I think I agree with Paul on this one, to be honest, because having Michele play against Thiago, seeing that you don't have any Chelsea attacking players at the moment. My transfer this week was Wirtz to Rice. What do you think? I think it's, even though Wirtz, he has actually done pretty well, so getting in Rice is a good idea. He's definitely a bit underrated. I know his ownership is not like a differential, but it started with a high ownership, and there are a lot of FPL managers that don't have Rice in their team. He is the second most transferred in player ahead of game week 21, so transferring in Rice definitely makes sense. The thing is that he is on set pieces for Arsenal as well, taking corners, and definitely can pick up the DEFCON points, and as we saw in game week 20, he can score goals as well. I also have the option to roll one more week and wait until the next game week, which is 10 days away from this one, and wildcard as well, and save the 3 transfers. I have Michele in for now, so that I probably get at least one return between them. Yeah, fair points. Might just be a good idea to play it safe this game week. Start both Thiago and Michele. Hope that you will get a green arrow and at least a return from one of them. Of course, it would be really annoying if you started both of them and Schade scored a brace. But seeing that Anderson is not a really great prospect ahead of game week 21 as well, so I kind of like the idea of just saving, to be honest. Maybe taking a hit ahead of game week 22, making 4 transfers, getting rid of Semenyo, Phil Foden, Saka, and one of your defenders as well, or maybe Minte. So Saka, I think he can stay this game week. Phil Foden as well. Semenyo, he will. The rumor is that Semenyo will play in game week 21, and this can potentially be his last game for Bournemouth. So 2 free transfers ahead of game week 1. You will have 3 free transfers ahead of game week 2. So potentially doing something like Semenyo, Saka, Foden, and Minte to Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer, maybe Rice, and a cheaper option. Can be a possibility ahead of game week 22. I'm very afraid of taking a -4 hit. Thing is that Minte, he might actually be back firing in game week 22. So Semenyo, Saka, Phil Foden to Bruno Fernandes, Rice, and Cole Palmer. I think that would give this team a boost ahead of game week 22 at least. Still need Gabriel as well. So let's see. Saka to Cole Palmer. This is like equal money. You will have to spend a bit upgrading. So we will save some funds on Semenyo. It kind of depends on when you brought in Semenyo, of course, but Rice, he is actually cheaper, so we will save some money on going Semenyo to Rice. Phil Foden to Bruno Fernandes. It's not that much between them, seeing that you had 2 million in the bank. It might actually be possible to bring in Gabriel as well. I can definitely see why Gabriel is on the watch list. Won't be able to bring in Rice, of course. If you want Gabriel in your defense, then it would have to be Timber. I think the Timber to Gabriel move is a bit sideways. I'm not sure what you think about this and what to do with Minte. There are some issues in this team. I would actually... So he ruined my squad value. I would actually potentially consider playing my wildcard, to be honest. And if you decide to play your wildcard in game week 22, you can potentially take advantage of the fixture swing for teams like Aston Villa, Chelsea, and bring in Gabriel, get rid of Semenyo. This is Playbell's team. FN in the chat, you are correct. Aishant High made 74 points last week, huge green arrow. He actually beat me. I got 69 points, really happy about that. I sold Vandenberg for Thiago. Yeah, makes sense. They have some solid fixtures. Newcastle, they actually are pretty decent defensively, so now they will get some players back from injury, like Trippier, Livramento. I think they potentially can play in game week 21. Minte ruined my squad. Well, he was 6.3, now he's 5.9. Ooh, 0.4 drop for Minte. I was planning to have both Timber and Gabriel. Yeah, seeing that you have Raya, maybe a wildcard in game week 22 can be an option for this team, so you can get in goalkeeper like Sanchez, especially if he's fit and plays in game week 21. I think he is a really good option for game week 22 and onwards. You can potentially sell Keane as well. I think that there are some players in this team that at some point will have to be transferred out. So Keane, when Branthwaite is back, I think he will see some rotation as well. Minte, tough fixtures for Thiago, so I would definitely give him this game week. But if you decide to wildcard in game week 22, you can go for another option, possibly Joao Pedro. Maybe not with the lap back. I haven't really had a decent look at a possible game week 22 wildcard, but I will definitely make a game week 22 wildcard video ahead of game week 22. So rolling this week looks like the optimal play. Yeah, considering that the players you really want, it's not that easy to get them with 2 free transfers and 2 million in the bank without taking a hit. So if you don't want to take a hit, I can't really see any easy way to bring in Gabriel. I think it's too soon for Bruno Fernandes. Saka, benched last week, will most probably start at home against Liverpool, and this is actually a decent fixture for Arsenal. Semenyo, probably his last game for Bournemouth. Ashant Rocks, what should I do this game week? I have triple up on Arsenal and double Liverpool attack. Ooh, I think Ekitike, if you have Ekitike in at that price, I think he's probably a sell. Maybe move him on to Igor Thiago. The thing is that there aren't that many forwards at the moment that I'm really interested in having long term, to be honest. So my plan is doing something like Playbell has in this team, to actually go for 2 forwards and 1 cheap attacker as well. All decent fixtures, starting players, no injuries. Wildcard is going to be better when double game weeks come. Will potentially be useful to have the wildcard around game week 34 to 37, when we usually get some double game weeks, definitely. But I think that if your team really needs it, probably makes sense to just play the second wildcard a bit earlier. And if you plan for the double game weeks and pay attention to the fixtures, it's possible to put out a really good team for the double game weeks without using a wildcard. So you can potentially play your free hit as well. And as well mentioned, if you do some good planning, it's possible to have a strong team. Virat Kohli, thanks for joining in. How are you? Check my team. I would definitely will. I think that we had another one posting. Let's see. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture of your team, and we'll have a look. So a couple of problems for Playbell, 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank. He has some players that he really wants: Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer, Gabriel. I think with this team, it's probably best to just save, have 3 free transfers, potentially take a mini wildcard with a -4 hit, make 4 transfers ahead of game week 22. But let's see what happens in game week 21. Maybe the wildcard in game week 22 is a solid option for this particular team. I think Oli was first ahead of the game. 11 minutes, 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Wait, 10 hours, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes ago. This means that ahead of the game actually posted his team first. So let's start with that one. So this is ahead of the game. Not here at your latest post. So Virat, you posted on X as well, right? We'll have a look in a minute. So ahead of the game, let me know if you're in the chat. So did this Orange Apple? Thanks for joining in. Hey bro, I need a striker and a defender for 15.1 or less. Kind of depends on your other players. So if you have a strong enough 13, 14 other players, bring it in Gabriel, and a cheaper forward is probably an option. Of course, if you still don't own Gabriel. Ahead of the game, Mark in the chat. Let's have a look at this team. Sandri, thanks for joining in. What's your rank from Playable? My rank is actually 600 and something K. Had a huge green arrow. I actually had a terrible rank. My plan was to go in top 1 million ahead of game week 20. I actually made it in game week 20, so my rank is now 600 and something. Great content, thanks. Should I put in the chat what my team is? Go ahead, put in your team. We have some other teams we have to take a look at as well. Posted on X. This is Mark's team ahead of us on X. I didn't really see if there was any message in this one. Let's have a quick look. So no free transfers. Van Dijk to Gabriel is already done. Do I start Elliot Anderson or do I need to take a hit? Let's have a look. So Dubravka starting in goal with Verbruggen on the bench. I think actually this makes sense, even though you have Cunha playing against Dubravka, you would have Verbruggen play against Phil Foden and your captain Erling Haaland. So in defense, Hincapié and Gabriel O'Reilly. So triple up on Man City. I think this is a really good fixture for them. I can see Man City do really well in this game, even though they actually miss both Diaz and Guardiola. So Gordon, Foden, Cunha and Rice up front, Erling, Haaland, Thiago, and Ekitike. Do I play Elliot Anderson and do I need to take a hit? So there's probably no one in that front seven I would bench to bring in Elliot Anderson. I think Ekitike, like Rice in game week 20, is probably someone that will get the full rests, or if he's fit enough to start, he will probably start. I'd put my money on Hinkapie playing. I think he will start. You have Senesi on the bench as well. Goodmanson last on the bench. Orange Apple Hall of Fame, here I come. That's actually my first ever super chat. Thanks a lot. So next graphics I will do, we'll try to make a Hall of Fame. Orange Apple will definitely be in there. Thanks a lot. So Orange Apple, with that super chat, you probably should go first in line, but let's just finish Mark's team. I'm not sure if this is a good game week to take a hit, to be honest, because a really quick turnaround, a lot can happen in game week 21. There will be players coming back ahead of game week 22, because players will come back from AFCON. We will have a lot more information ahead of game week 22 compared to what we have this game week. So ahead of the last couple of game weeks, we haven't really had the proper press conferences as we're used to. So I think that trying to avoid a hit ahead of game week 21, having more information and doing more calculated moves ahead of game week 22, I think this team is probably good to go. So we have a solid option in Elliot Anderson on the bench. I think he should be first on the bench, and you have Senesi as cover as well. Goodmanson last on the bench. So I agree with the bench. Solid move. Got Gabriel in. So in my opinion, no need for a hit, and I think Elliot Anderson should stay on the bench. So Orange Apple, my first super chat, posted his team in the chat as well. It's Raya, Van Dijk, Dorgu, Aiden Heaven. So double up on the United defense. Anderson, Rogers, Cunha, Phil Foden, Szoboszlai, Thiago, and Erling Haaland. These are my main players. I need Guardiola and Ekitike replacements. Guardiola definitely a sell. I think with this team, seeing that you have Raya, I think it really makes sense to consider bringing in Gabriel with this team, even though you have Raya as your goalkeeper. Maybe Guardiola to Gabriel. If you think Ekitike will not play, if you want to replace Ekitike, I think the second best option, and this is according to the bookies predicted anytime goal scorer as well. Thiago, after his hat-trick in game week 21, is actually high up on that list. So I don't really fancy Thiago's fixtures from game week 23 and onwards. I might actually sell him next game week, but maybe Watkins. Ekitike to Watkins and Guardiola to Gabriel. Is the team in chat fine, or should I send a screenshot? Well, you decide, you decide. I just scrolled up and found your team in the chat. Maybe for other listeners, having your team on the screen will be a bit better, but hopefully the others in the chat can follow as well. If you think Ekitike is a keep, then I don't mind keeping him. It's only because I need 0.1 to afford Guardiola to Gabriel, so would need funds from somewhere. Ah, I see. Okay, so maybe something. I don't really fancy Van Dijk as well, so maybe just keeping Ekitike, doing something like Guardiola to Gabriel and Van Dijk to Lewis Hall, possibly. Could be a really solid couple of transfers ahead of game week 21. Will Hincapie play? We haven't had any concrete news about Hincapie ahead of game week 21, so I assume he will continue playing. It's not like he has done bad, so of course they might play Miles Lewis-Kelly in game week 21. I definitely wouldn't buy Hincapie at this point. We know that Gabriel is nailed on, will start most games. Same goes for Saliba. Timber is pretty much nailed on himself, but he can see some rotation. And on the left, there will be some rotation as well. Nixie, hi, thanks for joining in. I forgot to mention that 2 transfers would be a -4. So with, I think a -4, I talked about this ahead of game week 20 as well. I think a -4, if this involves bringing in Gabriel, I think is actually worth a -4. You will have a player that's pretty much fixture proof from the best defense with great attacking threat as well. So a -4 to bring in Gabriel, I think this probably is worth it. I think it's only 4 game weeks where he hasn't had a return. Of course, he has missed some games due to injury, but only blanking 4 games is still pretty good. Hincapie will play unless Calafiori is back. Yeah, that's the thing, Nixie. I totally agree. We know near to nothing about Calafiori's injury, so I definitely agree. If Calafiori is 100% fit, he will start. Even though Calafiori is out, there is the slight risk that Miles Lewis-Kelly actually can start as well. We haven't really had that much information. We usually don't get much information from Arteta, but especially in the last couple of game weeks, we hadn't had much. So ahead of game week 20, a lot of FPL managers sold Rice. He was one of the most sold players ahead of game week 20, so that must be really, really frustrating. Yeah, that's the problem. So there were a couple of other teams. Let's have a look at them as well. So next one was Finn. Miley on the bench. Should I play him? Rolling the transfer. So this is your team with Miley on the bench. The comments from Eddie Howe. I'm actually not sure if Miley will start. They have a couple of players back. My team, nice. I'm not really sure if Miley will start. The comments from Eddie Howe was that they have a couple of other players returning from injuries like Trippier and Livramento. So he said that it's really important for them to be a bit cautious with Lewis Miley. So I think if he starts, he might get an early sub. Of course, the fixture is decent for Newcastle after that performance in game week 20 playing at home against Leeds. But so Dubravka in goal for Bruggen on the bench. So same as playable. I think it makes sense having Dubravka against Man United, even if you have Cunha. Tarkovsky is in as well. Anton Stach in midfield, Phil Foden, Cunha, Saka, Gudmundsson. I think with this team, when I see that you have Anton Stach in your midfield playing against Thiago, I would actually consider starting Lewis Miley, to be honest, having Stach on the bench, to be honest. I didn't really notice Anton Stach at first, but definitely start Lewis Miley and double up on Newcastle. I'm not a big fan of playing my midfielders and forwards against my defenders. I usually try to avoid this, and I would definitely try to avoid this in this situation as well. So stuck on the bench, Lewis Miley into the team. Hope that Ekitike can play against Arsenal. I'm not really sure if you will get more information. That's the problem. It's been mentioned in the chat as well with Arteta. I'm not really sure if we will get more team news from Arne Slot. Miley in the best 11, you believe? I'm not a big Newcastle fan. I would think that the experience and the power from Joe Linton probably would be preferred most game weeks, especially when he's at his best. But as mentioned in the chats, Joe Linton, he hasn't really delivered recently, so they might want to continue playing Lewis Miley, of course, and he can definitely play in midfield. That's his natural position. Always forget to think about it that way. I do want to maximize points. You made me change my mind. The thing is that having your midfielders and forwards play against your defenders, you have to be incredibly lucky to avoid them cancelling each other out. So if Stach gets an attacking return, Thiago will miss the clean sheet. And if Thiago gets a clean sheet, this means that Anton Stach will blank. He can, of course, get defensive contributions, and Thiago, he can get back-to-back goals, but you're playing against the odds, having your forwards, midfielders play against your defenders. So my general advice ahead of game week 21, I said it once already. I think it's a good game week to save a transfer and especially try to avoid hits because we might get some surprises this game week. And we will have a lot more information ahead of game week 22. The thing is that having some transfers heading into game week 22 might be really, really valuable because players will come back from AFCON. There will be FA Cup games as well this weekend with a lot of Premier League teams involved. So there might be injuries that we have to handle ahead of game week 22. So having some transfers, at least a couple heading into game week 22, I think this is a really, really good idea. I won't have a bench at all, so probably have to make a transfer. Yeah, of course, if your team really needs a transfer to ahead of game week 21, then of course go ahead. But if you're like 50-50, do I need to sell this player? Do I need to transfer in this player? I think the best decision possibly ahead of game week 21 is to just be a bit patient and save a transfer. But of course, if you don't have a bench, if you have some doubts in your starting 11 as well, it's better to field it's better to 100% field 11 starters than actually end up playing only 10 players. Can you see my comments? Let's see. It's Sandri. Is it one about Hinkapie? That's probably the latest question. Or is it on X? Matthias, thanks for joining in. Gameweek 20 was very nice to me finally. I have it under my reply. On here, my team ID 113026. We'll definitely have a look at your team as well, Sandri. I think it's Ali. Let's just scroll. He has been waiting. So playable is done. Ali is the next one. I think we need to take this as well. And then we'll have a look at a couple of team IDs as well. So I always forget to check if there are any messages. Just give me a minute from Ollie. No message. So let me know your thoughts in the chat. Have a look. My plan is Hinkapie to Timber. I think this is a good transfer. Timber definitely much more secure of game time compared to Hinkapie. He has done well recently, but this is most due to other injuries. So have we lost Ollie from the chat? It's been a while since we got. Terribly sorry for the wait. So Ollie is Palm in the chat. So if you're watching this later on, let's have a quick look at your team as well. So no message, but let's have a quick look at Ollie's team. Dubravka in goal, Gabriel, Saliba, really strong double up on the Arsenal. I think this probably is the optimal triple up from Arsenal at the moment. I think Saliba, Gabriel are really safe. I like Timber as well, but he is one of those players that can see some rotation as mentioned. So Alderete playing against Brentford with no Igor Thiago. You will of course want a Sunderland clean sheet, a double up on Miley and Anthony Gordon, the mentioned Rice, Phil Foden, Wilson, captain Erling Haaland and Jared Bowen. Van Dijk on the bench with Ekitike, Richards. Do you think this is my best 11? I think it's a solid starting 11, but having Ekitike on the bench, it doesn't really sit right for me. Let's see if we have any news on Ekitike. No confirmed news from what I can see on Ekitike, but considering the fixture playing away against Arsenal, you might want to keep Ekitike considering the fixture in game week 22 at home against Burnley, so it's probably fine to bench Van Dijk and Ekitike this game week. Usually I would say that if you're benching players with such value, it's probably wise to just transfer them out, but considering the fixture for Liverpool in game week 22, Ekitike, if he gets some minutes in game week 21 against Arsenal, he's probably a really good captain option for game week 22. So play Ekitike from Matthias. Why Jared Bowen, not Thiago? I was actually close to do Igor Thiago to Jared Bowen myself in game. I think it was game week ahead of game week 20 or 19. It was not ahead of game week 20, but a couple of game weeks ago. If it doesn't play, Miley might come in. I think I kind of agree with Matthias. I think it's similar as mentioned with Ekitike as with Rice ahead of game week 20. I can't see Ekitike getting a full rest if he's actually not fit enough to start. No transfers left. I think I'm tempted to say start Ekitike. The thing is that he might actually start against Arsenal. Of course, playing against your double up. This is actually not a really easy decision. I can see the temptation in benching Ekitike with that Arsenal double up. The thing is that be prepared if Ekitike actually does well and scores against Arsenal. It will be really annoying having a 9 million player on the bench doing well, but so Ekitike instead of Miley. Probably. Ooh. I think the reasoning for actually benching Ekitike with this team, there are arguments for going with Van Dijk and Ekitike on the bench as well. I think this one is really, really hard, to be honest. I'm kind of leaning towards just keeping the team as it is, to be honest. So Ekitike against your double Arsenal might actually... He might not start. He might play only 20 minutes just to keep the rhythm, get some minutes in his legs. Matthias, you have to start Ekitike, so it's mixed opinions in the chat. I'm like going from start Ekitike to bench Ekitike myself, so I can totally see why there are some mixed opinions about this 50-50 decision. You have to start Ekitike, play Richards first, substitute and Miley second. If none play, Miley plays. Frederick Fitness Semenyo captain, last game versus Spurs at home. So is it definitely confirmed that Semenyo will play game week 21? I saw that he was expected to start, but so is this definitely confirmed to be Semenyo's last game? It's not the worst either. He has actually looked decent in the last couple of game weeks, even though he was a bit lucky in game week 19 scoring that goal, but he has been really solid this season, and he might want to like go out with a boom for Bournemouth. So I think that I think the effective ownership for Erling Haaland will be really high in game week 21. Home game against Brighton. So even though Erling Haaland has 3 blanks in a row. I think his ownership will be really high, but of course, going for Semenyo. Last game against Spurs. Does Richards have a chance of playing in game week 21? So this is like similar to a couple of other players with injuries. We haven't really had that much information ahead of this game week. The last I heard on Richards is that he potentially will be back for game week 22. But of course, behind the scenes, he might have had a bit more speedy recovery. So he might be back for game week 21, but I'm not really sure. So at first, there were some rumors about Richards missing the World Cup. This has been denied, so he will be back much, much sooner. I think game week 21 possibly is a bit too early for Richards. But I haven't seen any news about him definitely missing game week 21 either. So I think there is a half chance of just an Ekitike cameo. So Miley has the safer floor and Ekitike has a slightly higher ceiling considering he's against the best defense in the league. And Miley can get defcons. Good arguments. We might actually see a cameo from Ekitike against what definitely is the best defense in the league. So Gabriel Saliba in defense, Ekitike on the bench. I would say sell Ekitike if you're going to bench him, but considering the fixture for Liverpool in game week 22 at home against Burnley, I think it makes sense to just keep Ekitike on the bench. I think that has to be my final answer on that one. I think it's really, really hard. That one. Akish, a -4 hit for Raya to Sanchez and Soboslai to Rice. -4 hit for Raya to Sanchez. Soboslai to Rice. You probably need to do that goalkeeper transfer to free up a spot for Rice. So if you already triple up on Arsenal, I think those moves makes sense. I'm not really a big fan of taking a hit this game week. I've said it a couple of times. We might get some surprises in game week 21, but Soboslai against Arsenal, you will at least avoid having Soboslai play against your goalkeeper. Sanchez, I think Sanchez will start in game week 21, but taking a hit for a goalkeeper that actually is flagged, we haven't, at least from what I've seen, we haven't got the confirmation that he definitely will start in game week 21. So who would you have in a free hit 21? I mean, free hit is not good, but it shows the best 11 as a baseline. I definitely agree. Taking a look at free hit videos can potentially help, at least giving some inspiration with transfers. So I have made a game week 21 free hit and wildcard video. So if you're interested, give that one a watch. That would be really, really appreciated. But we have to remember to take a look at Sandri's team. 11:30:26. This was my team in game week 69 points. We'll have a look at that in a minute. 11, 20. Did I actually forget the numbers? 11, 11:30:26. I actually messed that up. 11:30:26. we go. So this is Sandri's team, 45 points in game week 20. Red arrow. Still a solid overall rank inside the top 400k. Let's see if we can get this a bit more centered like that. There we go. So what should be the final team start? Ekitiki or Miley? Can you start a vote? Good idea. Let's see if I can have 2 votes. I think I have to finish this one. Let's have a quick look at this vote. Best captain for game week 21. Let's see who won that one. I'm actually not able to. Let's see. There we go. Best captain, Erling Haaland is, whoa, it's not even close in the vote. So who is the best game week 21 captain? Erling Haaland, 73. Igor Thiago, 5%. 14 for Cunha and 9 for other. I guess Semenyo is one of those votes on other for Semenyo's last game against his last game for Bournemouth in the Premier League, at least for this spell. So I will end this one. Let's put up another quick poll. Start. Okay. Start 1. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Start 1. Have 2 Arsenal defenders. Hopefully that's clear in the poll. Who would you start? Ekitiki against Arsenal away, even if you have 2 Arsenal defenders, or would you go for Lewis Miley playing for an informed Newcastle at home against Leeds? Keep in mind, Ekitiki, he is actually a low flag. We haven't had any concrete information about his availability ahead of game week 21. Slot, he was talking about fatigue and that he wasn't used to play that many minutes because of the Alexander Isak injury. He had played a bit more than he was expected to do so. Go vote in the poll to help Palm Ollie on X with his team selection. So let's have a look at Sandri's team. Small red arrow still in the top 400k. Raya Ingol, Michele, Hinkapie, O'Reilly, Cunha and Bruno Guimaraes returns from both of them. Saka 4 points. 4 points from actually Shirky and Elliot Anderson as well. Calvert-Lewin, Vice Captain Blank, and Erling Haaland, Captain Blank for him as well. Bit unlucky. Haaland captainers in game week 20. I have to admit that should had at least 1 goal, but I captained Jared Bowen, so I was actually pretty satisfied with the Haaland blank. Next one from FN. Now start Ekitiki or Anderson. Maybe I should have had Anderson in there as well. Ooh, saw this a bit too late, Finn. I'm sorry. Should have had a third option with Elliot Anderson. At the moment, it's Smiley let's see how this goes. Let's keep it up for a couple of more minutes before having one with Elliot Anderson. Frederick, I'm benching Gabriel, Dalot, Tiav. I am benching Gabriel, Dalot, Tiav, Luis Hall, and Tarkovsky are my defenders. A really strong defense. Dalot, good fixture against Burnley. Tiav and Hall double up on Newcastle defense at home against Leeds. This could be a really good differential. Tarkovsky as well. Benching Gabriel, I'm not really sure, even though at least on paper the fixture playing against Liverpool doesn't really look that great. But recently Liverpool, they haven't been that impressive, so I'm a bit worried about benching Gabriel. I think he's actually one of the most transferred in players. His ownership is starting to grow. He will be a big threat to your rank as well. So, but if you have a feeling Liverpool will do well, of course, especially if you have some Liverpool attackers as well. If you have like Soboslai, maybe Ekitike, going for a huge differential in benching your Arsenal defenders. Of course, it's a huge risk, but it can, of course, pay out if Liverpool scores a couple of goals. So Gabriel, when I made those graphics, he was really close to 500k, but this is a couple of hours ago, so he's probably above 500k transfers in at the moment. Don't bench Gabriel from Sundry. So Sundry, are you going to start Ekitike next game week? Did you really write you were talking about selling Hinkapi, right, to Timber? Let's see. I just need to scroll a bit in the chat. My plan is Hinkapi to Timber. I guess that's why, because you can't really afford Gabriel, right? New United manager gonna come in, and if United are lucky, the law gets benched. I think it's Darren Fletcher going to manage Man United as the interim manager in game week 21. If United are lucky, I can afford him or anyone else. I have 2.1 in the bank. I think at this point, even though he's a bit more expensive, I think I would actually prefer doing Hinkapi to Gabriel, to be honest. You will get a nice price rise this evening as well if you want to go a bit early. Hinkapi, he is actually predicted to drop in price while Gabriel, so we will earn a nice 0.2. I think at this point, given that we will probably not have any more information, at least not that much, I think I would potentially just do this transfer this evening. But I think Timber will be more involved this game. So if you have a feeling that Timber is, of course, a better option, you should definitely go for Timber. The thing is that with Gabriel, you know what you will get. I think that defensive contributions, attacking threats, clean sheets, bonus points. But if you have a feeling that Timber will be a good option going forward, I think he will be a really good option forward myself. So I just think that Gabriel potentially might be a bit better, but like with a couple of attacking returns, Timber can easily outscore Gabriel as well. I think it was a bit lucky in game week 20, Gabriel owners. It wasn't really a typical Gabriel goal, was it, that he scored in game week 20? But you could just see his hunger for, like, he made an error that led to a goal. You could just see his hunger to make up for that mistake. So he was like an animal in the box for the next 10 minutes, and he finally got his goal. Gabriel practices those in training. Yep, he probably does. He looks so good when he's in form, and it's like after his injury, he missed, I can't remember how many, it was like 4 to 5 game weeks he actually had to sit out. But when he came back from injury, he looked just like he did before the injury. So really impressive stuff from the Brazilian center back. Okay, let's have a look at your mini league as well and see how it goes for Sandri in his league. So his biggest opponent in this league is Arsenal FC. Still on top, but he's getting closer. He's getting closer. So Arsenal FC 12 points closer after game week 20. You need to get your transfers right this game week, Sandri, to keep the distance between your rival Arsenal FC and yourself. So this has been like something we do every live. We follow Sandri's league, so everyone's hoping that Arsenal FC don't catch up with Sandri. But in game week 20, 12 points gained by Arsenal FC. Actually, you had the lowest score. Oh no, 40 points from Liverpool FC Joker. So Sandri is still on top. Hopefully you remain top after game week 21 as well. So let's see if there are any other teams in the chat on X. Please send reminders in the chat as well if you post it on X. Been Arsenal FC battling it for sure. Luck has been with him last 3 game weeks, but it's okay. I'm far more experienced. I'm miles better. Good to see the confidence is on point. So this was the question that we had in the poll. Let's finish this one as well. It's from FN in the chat. So if you want to have a say on this question, so who should start? Ekitiki or Lewis Miley? I was talking about the last team. We are all very humble in here. He's not a bad player. I think last week, Sandri, were talking about that Arsenal FC actually was a bit experienced. He had at least played for a couple of seasons, right? Orange Apple, hey, back again. Which do you prefer out of those 4 options? Ekitiki to Watkins, Guardiola, oh, sorry. Ekitike to Watkins with 1 free transfer, Guardiola to Gabriel, and Ekitike to Watkins for a -4, or Igor Thiago to Calvert-Lewin. I definitely think that keeping Thiago for the fixture against Sunderland makes sense, considering that he looked really good. He could actually have more than 3 goals against Everton, and Everton, they are not a bad defense by any means, so really good game by Brentford. I think Brentford, they're probably a bit underrated. They have done really well recently, so I would definitely keep Igor Thiago at home against Sunderland. So I have been talking about saving transfers that they can potentially be really valuable ahead of game week 22, but with the first option and the second option with a hit, you will either way have 1 free transfer ahead of game week 22. So I kind of like the hit as well, especially if you think that Ekitike will miss out against Arsenal. The thing with Ekitike is, what makes it really hard is that he can potentially not play and you will get your first bench player in. He might play 15 to 20 minutes and you will get 1 point. The thing is that Ekitike, he has a really good fixture in game week 22 against Burnley at home. So really hard decision, to be honest. I think Ollie Watkins could be a good differential. I think his ownership is still around 10%, so maybe it has gone up to 11. Another option for Orange Apple, Guardiola to Gabriel and Thiago to Calvert-Lewin. So I think if you're taking the -4, I think I like Ekitike to Watkins better than Thiago to Calvert-Lewin, to be honest. Not a really good picture for Leeds. Newcastle looked really solid in game week 20. So Guardiola to Gabriel. I think that making this transfer an injured Guardiola, he might be out for some game weeks to bring in Gabriel. I think it's worth taking a -4 actually to afford this move. So I think I like Guardiola to Gabriel and Ekitike to Watkins, as we discussed earlier. I think this is still my favorite option ahead of game week 21. Adam Clarence, should I start Raya and Timber for double Arsenal defense or Dubravka instead of Raya? I think it kind of depends if you own the likes of, if you have Cunha, I would definitely go double Arsenal defense. If you own Ekitike or any other Liverpool forward, we go for Dubravka. Try to avoid having my midfielders, forwards play against the goalkeeper as well. Ekitike over Anton Stach in this team. Lewis Miley winning this poll, 12% for Ekitike, 88% for Lewis Miley. So another question from Palm. Let's get this team back. Who should be my first bench? So this was actually the team. Terribly sorry. It's not often you see 2 teams with Lewis Miley in them and Ekitike. Terribly sorry if I had the wrong team on the screen. Bit embarrassing, but Louis Smiley or Ekitike. This is actually the team that's been questioned in the poll. So who should bench player, Ekitike or Van Dijk? That has to be Ekitike, right? Okay, keep Louis Smiley in your starting 11. Change Virgil van Dijk, swap Virgil van Dijk and Ekitike. And this team is probably good to go. One of the most expensive benches, but he has decided to keep Ekitike, put him on the bench, but having him ready for game week 22 might be the play, actually. For Orange Apple, the option is to sell Ekitike to bring in Watkins, and this is mostly done because of the injury, but also to fund the upgrade from Guardiola to Gabriel. Yeah, I think Ekitike should be first. Yeah, I agree with that one. Van Dijk and Ekitike should probably swap places. So let me know in the chat if I have forgotten any questions or if you have posted your team and I've missed it. This is my team at the moment. I will probably just save a transfer, start, hope that Sanchez plays, or else I will have Dubravka coming in. Hopefully Dorgu will start. I know Amorim is not the United manager anymore. He's the one that has given him a lot of minutes recently, but with Ahmad still gone and with Mbumo still gone as well, hopefully Dorgu will start. Van de Ven against Bournemouth. We had someone in the chat considering to actually captain Semenyo, so I'm actually hoping that Van de Ven can keep a clean sheet. Timber, I will definitely start him, even though the fixture looks bad on paper. I think Arsenal can do well against Liverpool, so I have a triple up on Arsenal with Rice and Saka. Phil Foden, Anthony Gordon in midfield, really hoping that Anthony Gordon will get another start. He actually scored, but the goal got ruled out in game week 20. I think that Anthony Gordon and Igor Thiago, they actually almost scored at the same time, so I was really, really lucky with that one, but of course the Gordon goal did not count. Up front, Thiago, Erling Haaland and Jared Bowen. So 3 home fixtures up front. I actually only have home fixtures in my midfield and forward line this game week. I haven't really noticed before now, but all of them playing at home. FPL FOMO, hopefully West Ham will be much better this week as I need Jared Bowen points. They were so bad against Wolves. I definitely agree. I watched this game actually. Jared Bowen as my captain, so really frustrating watch. But FOMO, you probably started Jared Bowen in game week 19, right? For his goal. How do you feel not having Gabriel? I would like to have Gabriel, but I don't really see any easy way for me to get Gabriel in. I only have 0.2. I don't want to make a double transfer. I think my team is all right for game week 21. And as I've said a couple of times, I think having those transfers. So if I save a transfer this game week, I will have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. We will have much more information. Players can be back from AFCON. There will be FA Cup games this weekend as well, so new injuries can occur. I think it's, for my team, it probably makes sense to just save the transfer. what made you do Van de Ven over Vandenberg? It's probably the fact that he actually was yellow flagged when I set up my bus team. I might actually be interested in going for Vandenberg. The thing is that I'm not really sure if he will start or not. He was on the bench in game week 20. This is probably the reason why I just have Van de Ven in at the moment. I will try to find some more information about Vandenberg ahead of the deadline, and if he looks likely to start, it's a really good point, Paul or Finn. I might actually just start Vandenberg and have Van de Ven on the bench for game week 21. So let's have a look real quick. My transfer plan ahead of next game week is to do something like, I think it's that with Thiago in game week 22 playing against Chelsea and my goalkeeper, I might actually sell Thiago and do something like this. Thiago out. Saka out. Dorgu out. Let's see if I can get that one centered like that. So ahead of game week 22, I might actually do something like this. Thiago, Saka, and Dorgu out to bring in the mentioned Gabriel. Cole Palmer. And so for this, I would have to go for the cheapest option in FPL at the moment up front. Burnley striker Barnes. So with this team, I would have the option to start Cole Palmer, Rice, Phil Foden, and Gordon, Jared Bowen, Erling Haaland. We'll have a solid defense with a rotation. I will start Timber and Gabriel most game weeks and a rotation between. I will have to start 2 Aro, Vandenberg, Van Hecke, Van de Ven, and Elliot Anderson. I think this can be a good team for game week 22 and onwards. And I will have a look at, it will give me a double up on Chelsea, really good fixtures for them. And I will do something like Phil Foden, try to find a way to make Phil Foden into Bruno Fernandes as well. I could be buying Bruno back this week. Man United press conference tomorrow at 5 p.m. We might get some concrete news on Bruno Fernandes. The last thing I read is that he potentially can get some minutes in game week 21 as well. So I think it's a bit unlikely, but if we get the confirmation that Bruno Fernandes definitely will start in game week 21, and you have the possibility to upgrade someone in the midfield to Bruno Fernandes, then that would be great. So FPL FOMO playing FPL this season without Erling Haaland and without Mo Salah. This has given some huge swings so far this season. Had a really impressive game week rank. I can't really remember which game week it was, like 14 or 15. Something like that. But it also, of course, gives the luxury to bring in players like Bruno Fernandes easily when he's back. So what's on the screen is actually not my team at the moment. It's probably my game week 22 team if everything goes as planned. I might sell Igor Thiago ahead of game week 22 playing against Chelsea. I might bring in Cole Palmer for that fixture. And I got the question in the chat, how do you feel about not owning Gabriel? I will potentially own him ahead of game week 22. The thing is that Gabriel, he will rise in price. The only thing that potentially can save me and allow me to do those moves ahead of game week 22 is actually the fact that Igor Thiago, my forward, he is actually rising in price as well. So the sell price for Igor Thiago can potentially save me and make this affordable in game week 22. I forgot to put Haaland in my team. I saw an interesting wildcard from KSI on X as well. He went without Erling Haaland on his wildcard in game week 20. He actually did really well in game week 20. He had Ekitike up front and Tiav first on his bench, so got a bit lucky, of course, but I think he had a really good game week score in game week 20. The FPL Grandmaster, do you think Cole Palmer starts against Fulham? Yeah, I expect Cole Palmer to start unless we get any news about him getting a rest. So it was a bit of a frustrating game for Cole Palmer in game week 20 against Man City, but Man City definitely the best team. Maybe a bit unlucky for Man City defensive owners losing that clean sheet that late, but Cole Palmer was really close to scoring later on in that game as well. I think Cole Palmer will play a lot of minutes going forward, so let me know something about Cole Palmer that I actually have missed. So this is actually my team at the moment. Let's see. So a bit boring for me this game week considering transfer plans. I think I most probably will just save a transfer. I have 2 free transfers, 0.2. I think I will just go for this team. I have Elliot Anderson, solid fixture against West Ham. So this is a solid bench cover if someone surprises and misses out in game week 21. I think I have decent cover on the bench. I might potentially start Vandenberg, especially if we get confirmation that he is fine and will start in game week 21. Still can't believe Neto shaved. It's a disgrace. The FPL Grandmaster with Palmer, I was just worried because they've been managing his minutes for a while. So given he played 90 minutes against City, I wasn't sure if they also play him in midweek. Things that I think they really need to put out their strongest team. So I think that if he's fit to play, and I think that Cole Palmer is one of those guys that really wants to play every minute. So I think that at least they want to start with Cole Palmer. There is, of course, an opportunity for them to rest him if they're like 2 or 3-0 up against Fulham, but it's a derby, right? London derby against Fulham. Really important game for Chelsea at this point. Fulham, they have been solid recently as well, so I don't really think that Chelsea are taking this game for granted. They will get, as we saw in game week 20 with Fulham as well, against Liverpool. Fulham not that easy to play against these days. Wilson back with another return as well, so I think Chelsea will put out their strongest team against them in game week 21. But this, of course, this is my guessing. I haven't really heard anything concrete about the starting 11 for Chelsea, but we might actually get something tomorrow. Things that game week 21, it's a bit special for a midweek because one game on Tuesday, West Ham play against Nottingham Forest, and the rest of the games comes on Wednesday, and the last game is on Thursday. So we will get a bit more information, but not as much as we usually have ahead of a game week, and we have been used to this now during Christmas and December, right? ABB 17, Raya, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Tiav, Keane, Saka, Szoboszlai, Cunha, Phil Foden, Erling, Haaland, and Thiago. On the bench, Minte, Guiu, Esteve. 2 free transfers, 0.2. Oops, that's exactly the same as me. Should I roll or make any transfers? So Raya in goal, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Tiav, Keane. So solid defense. Saka, Szoboszlai. Of course, starting Szoboszlai against both Raya and Gabriel, it's probably not ideal. So 0.2 in the bank. Cunha, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, Thiago. So the only player I don't really like in this team is actually Szoboszlai, especially seeing that you have Raya and Gabriel in already. So let's see. What's possible with this team? Sort by price. So Szoboszlai priced at 6.6. It kind of depends on when you brought him in, of course, but with 0.2 in the bank as well. There aren't that many interesting midfielders around. Maybe someone like Jack Grealish, considering the fixtures for Everton. I know that Wilson scored in game week 20, but he's still only priced at 5.8, but I wouldn't necessarily bring in Wilson at this point. Fixtures will get tougher for Fulham as well. Maybe someone like Garner. I know Grealish got 2 assists, but Garner at 5.1 was really close to get attacking returns in game week 20 as well. So maybe the FPL Grandmaster bring in Grealish for Szoboszlai. I think this is a solid option, bringing in Jack Grealish, but I think it's a bit chasing points. I think Garner potentially can be even better value, only priced at 5.1. So it will be easier for you to bench Garner as well if you want to play Minte in some games. You will have more funds to upgrade in defense as well. Maybe if you want to get someone like Rice or Minte can be an option if you go for Garner, Szoboszlai to Garner and Minte to Rice. Hi TFS, Red or Dead, thanks for joining in. How are you? Let's see if I'm actually able to tag someone in the chat. My hits just paid off. Got a small green arrow. That's what it's all about, right? Getting those green arrows. They don't always have to be big green arrows, but as long as we get more green arrows than red ones, it's probably a good season, right? So I think it actually depends on your game week 1 score. I started this season terribly, so I definitely have had a lot more green arrows compared to red ones. But if you start like in top 2 to 3 million, I would say that is the general rule. Also, do you have any advice for new FPL content creators? I definitely have some advice. I'm not sure if I'm the correct one to give out advice. My channel is growing, but it's actually not one of the biggest channels. There are other FPL channels, of course, with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but they're probably better at giving advice. But when it comes to, at least for small channels, it's probably to try to stay consistent. So at the start, my first season of creating FPL videos was kind of hard to make the videos after a terrible game week, but I think it really helps trying to build an audience when you like report those bad game weeks as well as the good ones. Staying consistent definitely helps. So if you like taking a break for 2 or 3 game weeks because of fatigue or lack of time or lack of inspiration or lack of motivation, this will definitely happen. But at least use the community tab on your YouTube page. So do you actually have a YouTube channel already, or are you considering to start up a new channel? So if you're interested, you can definitely head over to X and send a message on there as well. I can try to help you out. So when it comes to equipment, stuff like that, I haven't really spent that much. My microphone is actually the thing that I actually have invested some money in, but my microphone is actually the thing that lets me down on every stream. So I'm not sure if that's the best advice. I'm not really sure what's going on with my microphone. All of a sudden, it can work for like 2-hour stream, but in some streams it gets muted every 5th minute. So thanks for your help. No worries. ABB. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that name, but hopefully those transfers will work out. Will give you a really strong bench though, so you will have to rotate and play 3 at the back in some game weeks if you bring in both Garner and Rice. Rice should definitely start for your team in game week 21 if you decide to bring him in. Monitita, hi. Thanks for joining in. Should I start Calvert-Lewin or Ikitiki if he is fit? I think you probably should start Ikitiki if he's fit. You will be really annoyed if you have a 9 million forward on the bench, but at the same time, it kind of depends on how many Arsenal defenders you have in your team. If you have 2 Arsenal defenders, I would actually consider to start Calvert-Lewin this game week. We had a similar question in the poll. Start one, Ekitiki or Lewis Miley. Lewis Miley is actually big favorite at the moment. 79% for starting Lewis Miley. We had a captain poll earlier as well. Erling Haaland, he was a big favorite in that one. I had Erling Haaland, I had Cunha in, and Igor Thiago as well. And we actually had a shout for Semenyo for his last game for Bournemouth against Spurs. The FPL Grandmaster, that's helpful. Yeah, a microphone is definitely one of the first things I'm going to look to invest in. Outside of that, it's just about finding a niche to stand out among other creators. Yeah, definitely. I haven't really found a really good niche myself. I'm still trying to figure those things out myself, to be honest. I really enjoy doing those streams talking about FPL. I don't really have that many. So earlier, like 5 to 10 years ago, I had a lot of mates playing FPL, but after I moved, started working after my studies, stuff like that, I don't really have that many to discuss FPL with, so I really enjoy doing those streams as well. The best FPL moment you remember in your team for this season, or if it's for every season, I think it has to be one time where I had actually a differential captain when Alexis Sanchez played for Arsenal. I think this actually was the year where I got my 157 in the world rank. Captain Alexis Sanchez, he had been out for a while with an injury, started that game, scored a hat-trick. I've had some really good experiences with Harry Kane when he was playing for Spurs as well. When it comes to captaining the Spurs striker, kind of similar to something that happened actually this game week with both Rice and Igor Thiago. So Harry Kane, he was definitely the most transferred out player. He had blanked in a really good fixture. A lot of FPL managers, I think he had at least 1 million. Alexis Sanchez, 2016, 2017. Ooh, I think I need to look up which year this was. Give me a minute. Was probably that one against West Ham in 2016, 2017, probably. Must have been that one. December December 2016, Alexis Sanchez stole the show for Arsenal in their 5-1 mauling of West Ham on Saturday. The Chilean netted a hat-trick at London Stadium. Alexis Sanchez hat-trick, the third fastest in Arsenal's Premier League history. Probably that one. Anderson or Virgil van Dijk. Probably Anderson, especially if you have any attackers from Arsenal. If you have like Rice, Saka, makes sense to, even though of course he's one of the most expensive defenders at this point, I think it makes sense to just bench Van Dijk, to be honest. Maybe with Aguero and Van Persie. Definitely one with Van Persie. I remember that game, and the opponent actually, I think he scored 4 goals against Newcastle once. I think was my memories. Four goals Aguero against Newcastle. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember that one as well. Don't remind me of that match, please. I'm a West Ham fan. I'm really sorry. I didn't really remember that the Sanchez hat-trick was against West Ham, to be honest. 5-1 mauling was the headline. I've been watching Premier League since I was a kid. Nice. Well, mine is Callum Wilson, double game week 37, captain versus Leeds Brighton in the 22-23 season. A differential. Was this the game week where Callum Wilson has been injured? And he came back. He did really well at the end of that season, right? For the last 4 to 5 game weeks. I think I remember that double game week 37. I don't think I had Wilson in that one. But that's nice. There were a lot of like players doing really well at the end of that season after bringing in Callum Wilson. I just need to check my Aguero score. I think it was 4 goals. I think Kevin De Bruyne, I think he had like 4 assists or something in that game as well. Oh, it was actually 5 goals. Man City, Newcastle 6-1. This was 2015. Aguero scored 5 goals as Manchester United came from behind to trash Liverpool 6-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Wow. Kevin De Bruyne, he scored goals. The goal scorer for Newcastle was actually Alexander Mitrovic. 48 points from Callum Wilson. That's really, really good. Erling Haaland, he is the favorite when we consider the bookies anytime goal scorer. He usually is. He's back on top, 49% for his game against Brighton this game week. FPL Lisa, thanks for joining in. Hi. Monrita, yes, Aguero, he scored a hat-trick in the 3-1 versus Newcastle and 4 goals versus Leicester in 2018. Yeah. So that Aguero 5 goals game I was talking about, it's actually 11 years ago. I just looked it up and it was in 2015. That's mad. 11 years ago. The 3rd of October 2015. Aguero 5 goals against Newcastle. FPL Lisa, are you ready for game week 21? FPL Lisa also got her own FPL channel, so the FPL Grandmaster, if you're looking for advice, she's actually a newly started channel for this season. Some really good advice on that one as well. It's a faceless channel, so it's just background music and voice, but really good information, solid tips ahead of every game week. Sandri, while the most consistent player and return for me when I needed him the most was, have a guess, player for London club, winger or striker. So the most consistent player returned for me when I needed him the most. Guess player for London club, winger or striker. So you said that you've been following the Premier League for a while. Winger or a striker playing for a London club? So help me out if you have any guesses. Sandri is one of the most consistent FPL players. Played for a London club, winger or a striker. Can be a lot of players, right? Can be Chelsea, Arsenal. Most probably. So let me know, which season did you actually start playing Sandri? It's not like, can't be like Thierry Henry, right? I'm really happy and lucky Rice was first on my bench. Thanks, Hugo, for the rest. Nice. I've seen a lot of these on X players getting in Igor, Thiago, and Rice after the no-show from Ekitike. Midfielder, oh, Eden Hazard, one of my favorite FPL assets as well. A legend has had them on his back. I think it was a really good guess from the FPL Grandmaster. No, it's not Eden Hazard. I started in 2022, right? It should be possible to get this one. A really consistent player, winger or a striker. One of the most consistent players in FPL. Midfielder in FPL from a London club. So, is he still in the game? I think it has to be a London club, right? I think Mane is probably off the table. Maybe it's Bukayo Saka. Probably too easy. Let us know if he's still playing in the Prem or if he's retired or left. Oh, wait. Oh, Heung-min Son. He was really good back in 2022 when Sandri started playing FPL, and it's correct. I lost this one. 1 point for the FPL Grandmaster. Son, of course. I didn't really think about Spurs, to be honest. Why did I not consider Spurs? I was just talking about Harry Kane 10 minutes ago. But of course, midfielder in FPL, really good guess from the FPL Grandmaster. FPL Lisa, I have to be ready. My rank is very bad, so I'm trying to catch up. I saw that you had a tough game week in game week 20. Saw your amazing game week 20 score. I got 69 points for game week 20, so really happy about that one. I got a bit lucky, of course, with Rice and Thiago as well, so that's 34 points right there. So forgot about him. Him and Kane were a deadly duo back then. I think it was one game where like they scored and assisted each other 4 times. I actually owned both of them for that game week, but did not captain any of them. Will you switch on Cole Palmer in 1 or 2 game weeks? How about Fernandes and Mbumo from game week 24? Maybe it's relevant if we switch on only one forward with strong midfield and defense. I definitely think that Cole Palmer is a really good option ahead of game week 21. I will probably sell Saka at some point and bring in Cole Palmer for my own team. I think Bruno Fernandes can wait one more game week as well. Mbumo, I'm not really sure. I would like to see Mbumo play some minutes in the Premier League before transferring him in. Every time I kept him, he almost always returned, or maybe almost, yeah. I actually had a couple of bad experiences with Son last season. I captained Son as a differential captain at least 2 or 3 times last season, and he blanked in all of those fixtures. So, but I remember him being really solid. He was one of the most lethal strikers or wingers in the Premier League for at least 4 to 5 seasons. Could finish with both feet really quick. And this was against Everton in 2020. Yeah, that could be right. So I can't really remember. Did Kane score 4 goals with 4 assists from Son, or did he score 2 goals each? They both assisted each other. So Sandri definitely has a better memory than me. So the team on the screen will probably be my team for game week 21. No transfers made. Hopefully I can save my transfer ahead of game week 21. Might potentially start Vandenberg instead of Van de Ven, especially if we get some indication that Vandenberg will start the next game week. Captain, I will most probably go Erling Haaland. He won the poll earlier on this stream as well. I think it was 78% for Erling Haaland and like 8 for Thiago. We had someone voting for the other option as well, and we discussed Semenyo captaincy in the chat as well. But for me, in game week 21, I will probably go for Erling Haaland, even though he has actually blanked in the last 3 game weeks. So I really like this team for game week 21, to be honest. Hopefully it will be another green arrow for me. Actually, all of my 7, 4 in midfield, 3 up front, all of them playing at home. So really hoping that they can deliver in game week 21. I will have another deadline stream tomorrow as well, so if you're interested, join that one. If you haven't done so already, please consider giving the stream a like, and of course subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. So this is actually a really memorable stream for me. I actually got my first super chat this game week. Really appreciated. We'll have to I think I will have to in the graphics make a section for a Hall of Fame to put in the names of those who have actually given a super chat. I'm not really sure how this works though. Not really sure. We'll have to go to the YouTube studio and try to figure out. Congrats, thanks. I got this message was like close 8 to 9 days ago. Can't really remember, but during it was between Christmas and New Year's. I got this message that my channel had actually reached 3,000 hours of watch time. So I'm now able to receive super chats and super thanks. I haven't really looked into it. I need to. There were some options before starting this stream as well, like set a goal. I said that it's 1 out of 1 reached. I got some other questions as well. It had some like colors and stuff like that. I need to check it out ahead of the next stream. So next goal is of course to reach 4,000 watch time hours. Southampton, Tottenham 2-5. Son with 4 goals, Kane with 4 assists and 1 goal. Yeah, wow, that's something. I actually remember I did not watch the game. I just watched it on my phone and followed on live score. I was actually at training. I was playing like squash or paddle tennis, something like that. So I was like between every set go to check the score. How many more hours do you need? Let's check real quick. So you have to go to watch time hours. You need to push that one and go to where it says 365 days. So at the moment, I'm not really sure if this will be any good, but it's probably too hard to see. But at the moment I have 3,672, so need some 300 plus hours. Probably that's manageable, hopefully. My friend suggested me this game in 2022. I had heard it, but never was keen on playing. It turned out to be the best decision. Fun battles, etc. It's a really, really good game. Really good hobby to have, and it makes watching other Premier League games much more interesting as well, instead of just watching your favorite team, right? So if you have a player in your team, at least for me, it makes those games that's probably usually a bit less interesting. FPL can make them really, really entertaining. You should get there soon. Hopefully, I can get there soon. I actually had one video hitting 120 hours watch time. So if I get a couple of more videos like this, I can potentially make the 4,000 at some point. So I can just imagine how those big YouTubers and what they actually earn. They get like 100k views on their videos. That's probably enough to get monetized on one video alone. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, go check out my GW21 Wildcard and free hit video as well. That would be really, really appreciated. In fact, I watched and other games before. Like I said, I'm a Chelsea fan since I was 7 years old. And you have a really good memory as well, remembering those old results. That's really cool. I remember some of it, but as with Aguero, I remember that he scored 4 goals against Newcastle, but turned out it actually was 5 goals. I remember the game where Kane and Son did really well, but I couldn't really remember who scored most and who assisted most. But when it said that Son scored 4 goals and Kane assisted 4 and got his own goal, I just need some help remembering. So this, as mentioned, will probably be my team looking to save and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. We'll have another live stream tomorrow, so if you're interested, join that one. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing if you like the content. Thanks all for joining in. Thanks for all the discussion in the chat as well. Thanks Orange Apple for my first ever super chat. I will find a way to make some kind of hall of fame in the graphics if I find the time ahead of the stream tomorrow. I remember players like Drogba, Lampard, John Terry, of course, not even discussing a Bale, Modric, Clichy. Good times. I remember those guys as well. Chelsea, they were really strong back then, right? When Mourinho was the manager of Chelsea back in the day. Lampard was a really good FPL asset as well. Scored a lot of goals. Do you support a team? I'm actually a Man United fan. I remember Adebayor when he... Once again, I remember the celebration where Adebayor, when he like ran all over the pitch to celebrate in front of the opposition's fans. But was this for Man City against Spurs or 4 Spurs against Man City. Don't remember. Sandri, you need to help me out. Do you support the team? Yes. Man United have actually done so since 97. Was this the year Solskjaer joined Man United? Probably was. Maybe a bit earlier as well. Man City versus Arsenal. Ah, yeah. Man City versus Arsenal. By running to the Arsenal fans. That's classic. So I remember it, but I didn't really remember which teams was involved. So 97. That was back in 2009, yeah. Merci, bonne nuit. Bonne nuit, everyone. I have to go. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow as well, but if not, best of luck for game week 21, and hopefully there will be some green arrows the next game week. Thanks all, as mentioned, for joining in. Hopefully I'll see you next time.